Namaste, my friend. So I'm very happy that your mind is changing. Change of mind has to change. What the mind has to change, it has to move from ignorance to wisdom. Always remember, never forget it. Mind is the worst master. Mind is the failing master. Mind is the crazy master. On the other hand, mind is the greatest slave. If the mind is the slave or the servant of the intellect or the knowledge, no one in the world can ever give you any form of anxiety, stress, duality, conflict, problem. That is why we say we are responsible for our suffering and we are responsible for our peace. No one else. Mind is the worst master. It goes to the party and it says, ah, I have put on my best clothes. No one is looking at me. Mind is the worst master. No one appreciates me. Then you return home frustrated. You go to someone, oh, what you are doing? And I'm learning Eastern wisdom, but I don't see any change in you. And you are frustrated. Mind is the worst master, crazy master. And when the same mind becomes the servant, you go to the party, no one appreciates you. The mind says, and intellect says, I am appreciating myself. I don't need an appreciation of others. Mind, calm down. Within few seconds, you are free. So we have to follow this journey until the mind becomes a perfect servant or a slave to the knowledge, to the intellect. Remember this. Whenever mind is the master, it is causing you anxiety, duality, conflict, reaction, problem, etc. Because it becomes impulsive, and impulsive results into the impurity of the mind. Impurity of the mind leads to impure states of the mind. So if I'm in the impure states of the mind, that is going to respond and react to the outer situation. And we expect that we will be happy. I am spotless, wearing the white clothes in a mud. Is it possible? Tell me, my friend, is it possible? Answer is no. You wake up in the morning, mind says bad morning. Your intellect says, let us close your eyes and follow this mantra, Sarvesham Sastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Then you contemplate and reflect, oh, may there be happiness for all, peace for all, completeness for all, auspicious. So you have already created a sacred space around you. The mind will flee. But I have to act on it. That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. So it is good to have every day, whenever you wake up in the morning, find out, does your mind reminds you to follow this mantra? You contemplate and reflect. It takes only 5 minutes. And after that, you can listen and learn the last audio file. Follow the practice or listening. After listening, You have to contemplate and reflect. You have to question. That is the journey of the self inquiry. And then do the practice. Few steps. And the last step, you have to apply the teaching in your daily life. You are with a person seeking an appreciation, appreciate it. But at the same time, your mind is content in calmness. It does not seek any appreciation. Why? Because you are already calm and joyful. So these steps have to be followed. Let us take it practically. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed. Find out the place where you are sitting. Any way you can sit or lie down, it doesn't make any difference because you are already a seeker. So become aware of the space all around you. Become aware of the body, position of the body, and the posture. So check your eyes are closed gently. You do not squeeze. And your eyes are looking the eyes itself. Understand? Eyes looking the eyes. Nose looking the nose means it is not running after any object. Then check your cheeks. Do you have a smile or upset? That is very important. And then the posture unease is gone. And we already know, become aware of the entire body, all the joints of the body, looking at the neck joint, looking deep inside, shoulder joints, looking deep inside, spine, looking deep inside. You find the emptiness or blankness, hip joint, and experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness. And then you're looking at the space inside the forehead, whether it's a blankness or a space or darkness, all are okay. In that dark space, or simply the space, like the sky, their thoughts, feeling, and emotions are passing like the birds flying in the sky. What are you doing? You're making the mind as a slave, not making the mind as a master. Are you understanding? I believe so. Mind is becoming a servant. How? It becomes a servant. How? When you simply watch, keep watching the space behind all thoughts, feeling, and emotions. And these thoughts are just coming. Thoughts are coming and going like the birds. They do not stay. Like the birds, they do not stay. So when they do not stay, they do not cause you any pressure to follow it. So the mind has become the slave, not the master. You simply need an awareness, my friend. And now, in that state, keep looking inside the forehead And then take a deep, silent, and slow breathing into the first into the belly. It expands like a balloon, then into the rib cage. While breathing out, you have to do a very long, gentle humming sound. Mm. You completely empty your lungs or belly and the rib cage. It has to be as long as possible. As long as possible, you inhale, and as humming sound possible. Why? We are rising in consciousness at any point of time in your life. Either you are surrounded by negativity or anxiety or upset or a bad morning reaction, frustration. You have to follow this practice. It is not a long practice. It will take not more than 10 to 15 minutes. Continue. Mm. The longer the humming, better it is. Why? Because it will help you to dissolve all the thoughts. Mm. Both inhalation and exhalation should be as long as possible. Mm. 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 Now leave this humming sound, experience the sensation, relaxation and stillness in the body. Look inside the heart and say mentally, Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Or you can say mentally, may there be happiness for all. Then your intellect says to you that happiness is the essential nature of every being on this earth, including me. Everyone is searching happiness. I am searching happiness in my true nature. It cannot be found outside. When my mind takes me outside to find that happiness, it causes the delusion and problem. Second line, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, meaning may there be peace for all. Your intellect is saying to yourself, peace is the essential nature of every being in this earth. Don't you see you have lot of pets you touch? They find a danger, they want to flee, or they want to attack you. Everyone, so it means the peace is always there. But the mind becomes the master and it takes us to the objects of the world, people, relationship to seek that peace. And there the problem comes. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. Everyone is complete in oneself. That is our true nature. Intellect says to you that if I'm complete in myself, why I'm seeking anything from outside? And you wait. So when you wait in that silence, that peace and the happiness and the joy manifest in you. That is creating a sacred space. That is our fourth line. Uh, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be auspiciousness for all. What it means? Auspiciousness or a sacred space is always there with us. It follows us. We don't recognize when we are deluded, when the mind is the master. So your intellect is saying, yes, I'm into that state, do nothing. Experience that state of sensation, relaxation, and stillness. That is such a simple practice. And now open your eyes slowly to listen to an interesting talk today. Why? Because once you have done this practice, you are already into the heightened level of awareness and attention, so the grasping and the receptivity will be high. Case is a case. When the mind is a master, it creates a false case. It creates a golden cage. You have lot of pets. I know that. You love your pets, and especially you love your birds in the cage. Now you order a golden cage and you put all those birds into it. Cage is still the case. They are still in bondage. They are limited. Why I said so? The delusion causes the bondage, the golden cage in your life. Delusion shows us if you appreciate me, I'll be happy. If you speak like this, I'll be happy. If you go with me, I'll be happy. So everything I limit myself with the people, with the person, with the relationship, and I create a golden case through the mind, and I keep on thinking, and and then there is no one who can take you away from the suffering. The intellect should come there, contemplate and reflect, and you can get out of that suffering. You can get out of that suffering. Case means I'm seeking something, pleasure, expectation, appreciation. I'm seeking everything from the world outside, peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom, where it is not. The result is frustration, anger, fear. One option. Second option, you wake up in the morning, mind reminds you. You do the practice, you remind, your intellect reminds you for a few minutes. You wake up in the morning, mind is calm, still you do it. You wake up in the morning, mind says, I'm upset, it is a bad morning, still you do it. During the day, you find you are upset, you remind yourself. You are following the path of the Eastern wisdom, you are a seeker. You are talking to someone, and argument starts, and your Eastern wisdom reminds you there is no result of the argument. It is only the boost of my ego. I may get defeated by the argument or I may win. Still, I'll remain frustrated. So it's better to withdraw from that argument. Yes, honey, you are right. I agree with you. Now you are playing your role. So what happens? You are free there and then. And if you continue to argue, you will say, what the heck, he did not say this thing, he did not appreciate, or she did not say anything. That is what happens in our daily life. Why? I'm saying you simple. The mind becomes the worst master. When the knowledge becomes your master, how can you have? How the mind can dare to lead you to anxiety, stress, and reaction? Check during the day. Am I in peace, calmness, or delusion or impurity of the mind? You have to check. In the beginning, check mind is now not busy. So what will happen after a few weeks, even just you, it is possible for you within 3 days. You maintain the self-awareness throughout the day and work through the intellect on the mind. Within 3 days, you'll find that you are, the whole day my mind is relaxed. Mind is filled with crazy thoughts only because I have millions of expectations from the world, from the people, from the relationship, seeking approval from others. You are relaxed and calm, and if you ask me, can you check that I'm relaxed and calm? Why you are seeking approval from me? You know it, you experience it, believe in it, and live into it. Then what happens? You always move in the state of the calmness and the joy. The moment any anxiety and the stress takes over you, you remind yourself, mind, hold on, put the knowledge there, and you're out. Did you understand? I believe so. So what happens, now you see that why it is taking a time to me and why it did not take a time to the Buddha. Let us understand it clearly and ask the question. Why you ask the question? So that you can hasten the process of your evolution. You can hasten the process of your evolution. So the first Buddha was put into the caves. That is what I say. His father created a Las Vegas and Sin City where all kinds of pleasure from the person, from the objects, from the things. Even the father of the Buddha warned his servants that no old people, no sick person can approach Buddha. He should not see, he should not listen that any person dies. It is all rosy, that is the case. Now, how to understand in our life? Simple, simple way. What are the golden cases in your life? What are the golden cases? How to understand that? Make a list of pain points, struggles, and anxiety, at least for 4 weeks. Every day in the evening, you remember and ask yourself how many times I was anxious and upset. Then you are following the path. Identify the root causes of these anxiety and upset. You already know. You check impure states of the mind. And then you have started this self inquiry. Even writing and contemplating and reflecting will help you to understand that I'm seeking, I'm in a golden cage. I have to get out of the golden cage only by understanding. No practice can help you. These practices obviously can help you raise your level of awareness, and through awareness, again, you have to go to contemplation and reflection. How many golden cases you have? I believe you understand. You have written to me that you were seeking approval from the third person. Every person outside you is a third person, maybe very close to you in your relationship. It is your peace, it is your frustration you have to take care of. Did you understand? Now come to the second stage where the Buddha had four sights, four events: a sick man, a dead man, an old man, and the monk. So, what happens to my mind when I am seeking pleasure from outside? That is one way to look at it. And second thing is very important to look at how often do I truly reflect on the realities of aging. We both are of the same age. Aging or illness or mortality. To tell you frankly, I see it. Oh, this is nature's role. Nature is putting me into this age, and one day the nature will take me away. I don't know when. So I respect you, nature. Respecting the nature means I respect my aging process. It's a healthy aging. It means I take care of my illnesses also. I warn my mind not to fall back into any kind of pleasure which will increase my situations in the body. You are freedom. This is one aspect only. But the second aspect that the four sides that we have a fear about the aging process, we have a fear about the sickness, and we have a fear about the death. So contemplate and reflect. Can you tell me any person in the world who never died? Alexander the Great, who almost won the world, and he was just on the verge of the death. He lay down on the bed. He opened his hands And then his assistant asked me, why you opened the hand? Let the world know. Let the world know. What to know? That I came empty handed, I'm going empty handed. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, you and me, we will also go empty handed. So you have to contemplate and reflect in that direction to not to allow the mind to become the master. Otherwise, the mind will cause the fear, frustration, anxiety, duality every day. Well, they are all temporary. They are constantly changing. The real self is permanent. Are you getting it? So the four sides, it means what? I meet people. I relate myself to the people in the business and the finances. And I'm frustrated. Simple meaning I'm seeking a pleasure from that event, that person, or the finances, or the house, etc. Long list. I have to recognize that through my intellect. You have to say to the mind through your intellect, oh, I was seeking an appreciation from my relation, and she or he came to my house. I offered him the food, and we enjoyed. He or she left, and I am frustrated. He did not appreciate. Appreciation for seeking a pleasure when the happiness is within me. So, what should the intellect say? I express my happiness in offering the food to you. That is how you get rid of the delusion, impure states of the mind. So when how many times I have to do? As many times as the mind is causing the trouble in your life. Every time the mind causes any trouble, you recognize and you are ready to take over. Are you getting it? I'm giving you real life examples. Third, the great departure. In the life of the Buddha, what is that great departure? So look into the Buddha state. The Buddha saw the sick person, the dead person, and and uh, and the old guy, and then he saw the monk. His mind was committed to the journey of the self-discovery. He had no fear of the old age, sickness, and the death. Can I have that state of the mind? It comes by practice for us and for you and me. And Buddha reached to that state just within few seconds. That is why he is the greatest seeker. We are a seeker, but we want to be a great seeker. How? I've already told you. Every time the mind causes you some problem, your intellect comes and intellect. Determination is in the intellect. Will is in the intellect. Resolve is in the intellect. How it comes when you think. So, well, if I don't think, then the mind will think. What the mind will think, I'm upset, I'm frustrated, I have fear. Are you getting it? So that is the big difference between Buddha and me in the second stage. Let us see in the third stage how big the difference is or how narrow the difference is. So I use the word great departure. Where is that great departure? So he returned home, Buddha, Siddhartha returned home, He continued contemplation and reflection. His intellect took over the mind, and now his intellect says, I have to treat this part of self discovery. He had a strong determination. He has the will. Mind is very clear. Midnight came. He saw his wife and the son. In the midnight, both were sleeping, and he left the kingdom. Why he left the kingdom? Oh, so don't misunderstand. Do we also have to leave our house to find it? No. We have a total freedom. You're already living in freedom, independently. Buddha, Siddhartha was not living in freedom because if he should have asked his father that I will practice meditation, I will follow this path, his father he should have forced him to live into the pleasure again. He realized that. He sensed that his wife will also not leave him, seeking all kinds of pleasure. Don't practice anything of the Eastern wisdom. So, in that moment, he has to decide. So, his intellect has chosen a decision to leave the kingdom. What is the third step speaks about? Do you remember? Can you remember? Find out all your comfort zone. Find out all your expectations from the people outside. Are you ready to drop? That is a great departure in your life. So you are leaving the comfort behind and you are ready to follow, replaced by self discipline. You wake up in the morning, you do the mantra, follow the practice, and during the day, you are taking over the mind. That is the great departure. Like the Siddhartha, you do it for 3 days, I promise you. The fourth day, you will say, teach me something higher. I have reached to that state. I'm able to maintain my calmness and peace. That is the power of the Eastern wisdom, and that is the power of the real self present in you. That is the great departure. I have to compare. Yes, it's better to compare with the Siddhartha. Earlier name of the Buddha is Siddhartha. Why? So that I can motivate myself, I can inspire myself. How dare you, Siddhartha, left the home? What prompted you? What motivated you? Even when you are leaving the kingdom, you are leaving all the comfort and the pleasures. Can't I leave the small comfort zone of seeking pleasure from the world outside while living in the same house? Think. I'm asking you to contemplate and reflect. So, what aspects of my life I am clinging to out of comfort or fear or frustration? I have to get rid of it. These are only thought, feeling, and emotions. They are present in the mind. Through the intellect, I'm by thinking. So I am also making a great departure, but step by step. But I told you, if you do it 100%, 3 days only, fourth day, I know you'll definitely call me. Another way to understand the great departure means where my mind resists not to change. It is resisting any change. That is your comfort zone. Mind says, you should have appreciated me. Mind is constantly repeating it and it gets frustrated. So you are resisting the change. Take a small step. Let us move to the fourth stage in the life of Siddhartha. So now you see that you understood that I have to resist. I have to counter that resistance. I have to counter that comfort zone. Mind wakes up in the morning, it says, I'm upset. And then you struggle whether to take a cup of coffee and look outside and you stop doing the practice. But when you complete the third stage of great departure, you wake up in the morning, your mind is upset, and your intellect says, first, let me do the practice. Mind, you cannot be upset. You cannot say me the bad morning. You cannot remember the past. Or whenever you wake up in the morning, you're calm and relaxed, still you do the practice. That is the fourth stage. In any condition, in any situation, every day in the morning, the first thing your intellect reminds you of the journey of the peace and happiness. And if it reminds you, it will motivate you to do the practice. And when you do the practice, you definitely get out of it. Small change, my dear friends, small change. Self discipline comes through the intellect. Irregular discipline, impurity of the mind, delusion comes from the mind. Mind is the worst master. I've been repeating you. Now just compare the life of the journey of the Siddhartha in the fourth stage. I said ascetic years, penance years. I'm not saying to sleep on the floor for a couple of weeks. I'm not saying take one meal a day. That is what the Siddhartha did under the instruction of a master. It was very hard discipline and he agreed to it. Can you compare his life full of pleasures? All the pleasures within the reach. And he continued for 16 years. And simply he jumped into the fourth stage of ascet, whatever it takes, I will do. The master said, you have to sleep on the floor. Then only you can become my student. You have to take one meal. You have to practice for 5 hours. Siddhartha smiled and said, yes. Do I have that kind of a motivation? I'm saying a simple way. Every day in the morning, you wake up in the morning, find out, did your intellect reminds you that I'm at peace? If I'm not at peace, in both the cases, I'm going to do the practice even for 5 minutes or the practice I just gave to you. And if you have time, then go for the entire practice. Contemplate and reflect. And throughout the day, you maintain that state. After all, Siddhartha maintained that determination. That is why he said yes to everything to his master. Yes, I will sleep on the floor. Yes, I will take one meal. Yes, I will do the practice for 5 hours. Now, I'm not comparing, but just for the sake of understanding. His 5 hours, his sleeping on the floor for 6 years, taking one meal a day for 6 years, how that can be quantified in my life. It will take 100 years. So you say that I have to, no, first this comparison. Now, our masters made this journey very simple. That just ask the intellect to tell the mind to follow a discipline regularly. Maintain that self awareness throughout the day in your personal, family, professional life and respond accordingly. Is that possible or not? I'm just making uh, I'm just sending the message to you. And what about the fifth stage? So I will tell you that what happens in the fifth stage to us, and then we will talk about what happened to the Siddhartha in the now Siddhartha transitioning into Buddha. Buddha means awakened. Siddhartha was his earlier name. So what happens when you follow a discipline? It depends on your past impressions, level of commitment, and etc. Your mind undergoes a change. Now your mind regularly follows the self-discipline. It responds. It takes it it withdraws itself from any kind of an argument. It maintains the calmness and the peace in all the situations. In exceptional cases, you get into anxiety and upset, you return home, you do the practice, and you're out. Initially, for example, initially it used to take 5 hours or 2 days or 3 days to get out of the anxiety, but now it is hardly taking an hour, hardly taking few minutes. That is the sign of the progress based on the previous four steps. I'm making you not only a seeker, but the teacher to yourself. You have to be a teacher. The teacher of the Eastern wisdom makes masters, they don't make seekers. Now look at, now compare it with the Siddhartha in the fifth stage. So, because of his determination and commitment and the willpower, and luckily a very strong master who asked him to sleep on the floor, eat one meal, and do 5 or 6, 10 hours of the practice every day. His mind got purified. So mind awakened to the inner peace and the calmness. And he recognized it. Then he realized that these ascetic practices or the extreme penance is not required. And he left it. What I'm saying you that you continue the self-discipline, you continue the practice now. 5 weeks have passed. Every day you wake up in the morning and you find the sense of the calmness and the peace and the joy. And you are doing all your activities, even in your activities, in your relations, your personal and professional life, you realize that there is not exactly any sense of frustration or reaction. They are a little bit smaller and you are able to deal with them easily. You can change your perspective and you can deal with it. You have reached to the fifth stage. Now you know what needs to be done. Now you want to know the higher journey. You see, my friend, I have to go back, return. I want to take you to the higher step, then I have to go back. And I said, okay, let me do this journey. So I take you to the higher step and then you fall down and you go back. So then in the fifth step, you maintain that state. You don't fall down. Even if there is some, are you getting it? In the sixth stage, what happens? Now there is a sense of perfection comes. You have a glimpse of the real self. I'm first talking about our journey. I'm also like you. I was like you. And so, lot of so now you see that your mind, you are sitting alone. Previously, your mind was thinking about people, relationship, anxiety, but now your mind is thinking about, oh, the peace is within me, happiness is within me. So why I'm not expressing that peace and happiness all the time in every situation when I'm aware that this happiness and peace are not the properties of anyone in the world outside. That's a bit higher step. You have a realization, you have a constant experience. Even though the past impressions are haunting you, are chasing you, someday you will get upset. But within few seconds, your upset is gone. Instant realization is there. Do you see from the first stage to this stage, the 6 days? In the 6 days, it takes you few seconds to get rid of any form of the delusion. In the first stage, it used to take hours, days, and weeks to get rid of this. What a tremendous change. What happened to the Buddha? Buddha got enlightenment. We are still changing. Is it answering your question that why I have not reached to this state? Why the Siddhartha has reached to this state? Did you realize that? Seventh stage. What happens in the seventh stage? First, I tell you what happens in our life. Now, because it has become a discipline, the way you go to the restroom, the way you do the practice. The mind does not burden you. It says, yes, do this practice. Somebody wants to argue. The mind says, come on, withdraw yourself, no need to argue. And you get the inner voice, you get the inner revelation, you understand the situation. So you continue to remain in peace. The other who argues, who is frustrated because you have withdrawn yourself. You are still happy. You were happy before the argument, you are happy during the argument, you are happy after it because you have withdrawn. What is that withdrawal? Means your ego is not taking over you. Impure mind is not taking over you. Delusion is not taken over you. So you have your own principles now. Oh, this is the way I have to live in my life. I have understood it. That is called the revelations. A bit smaller revelations come. And that does not, that I would say, what I have to rephrase it. That does not make your mind crazy, lazy, or reactive, and it does not create a doubt that why it is not happening so fast. It must know. Your mind does not think, oh no, I'm already into the journey and I will reach there. But what happened in the life of the Buddha, that is the seventh stage. His mind revealed the knowledge, the four noble truths. That is known as the Four Noble Truths. And he rushed to his friends to teach them. And now you see, previous, all the 6 steps or 7th step confirms to this Four Noble Truths. The world is suffering. When the world is suffering, when I'm seeking a pleasure, when I'm causing a delusion, when I'm expecting something. Are you getting it? And there is a cause of this suffering. Second noble truth. So what is the cause of this suffering? Ignorance, delusion, impurity of the mind. We have already discussed. Third, he says there is an absence of all kinds of suffering. Oh, the state of meditation. You have experienced 1,000 times that state of the calmness. Your intellect does not remind you. Your mind reminds you that now you see, you have done the practice, you did not get any result, now you still have the stress. But Buddha is very clear. Third noble truth, then that there is a state. When that state comes, when I drop the delusion, when I know the cause of this suffering, is my own mind creating the impurities. And what is the fourth noble truth? There is a way to get out of this suffering and awaken to my real self. That is the way we are understanding, we are assimilating our knowledge. Did you get it? Now, your basic problem that you discussed with me. So, for this eighth step, I want to talk first from the angle of the Buddha. Buddha returned to his kingdom, returned to his father and his wife and the son. They all were looking at him and they said, I told you this story. I will forgive you provided you become the king of this kingdom. Wife said, okay, I will also excuse you. I waited for you. I heard about you that did you had only one meal a day because you don't have those resources. Buddha smiled and said, I have not come here to stay. I have come here to ask you to follow me to tell you the path of the peace and happiness. What is the message for you here? You're following a discipline, you're doing the practice, you live in state of calmness and peace. You have understood your what you have understood your comfort zone, you have understood your weak points, you have resolved them. Now you no more seeking the expectation, no more expectation. Now you have built the strength. So way the Buddha went to his father, mother, his wife, and his son. So where I have to go? Enter into the world every day in the morning in that state of the calmness and peace. With that confidence. Confidence of what? I'm expressing peace and happiness. I have nothing to seek from the world. Did you get it? I'm just comparing. That is it. And what about the ninth step? Ninth stage establishing. Then he built a monastery and he had a lot of his students. So, should I become a teacher? Who knows? Once you learn it and the knowledge is already settled, it continues to stay in your heart and your intellect. Who knows? You may become a seeker. You may become a teacher. But forget about becoming a teacher. You have found out the way to live in peace and happiness in your personal life, in your professional life, in your social life, in your family life. If that is enough, that is also enough. So every day you are evolving. Every day your intellect reveals something new. What is going to happen? When your communication, when you talk in terms of those, when you talk in terms of Eastern wisdom to your relations, to your employees, what is going to happen? There will be a natural attraction to you. Still you don't want. You tell your mind, I don't want. I'm just expressing that peace and happiness in my life. Ninth, did you get it? You have to listen to it again and again. You have to prepare the summary and you have to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what is happening to me. And then the 10th step, the final years of the Buddha. What happened? He taught 45 years to every person in India, more than 40. What I have to do? I have to live into that state of real self, realizing that real self. I have to continue to live into that state of peace and calmness, love, truth, and wisdom. They are very near to me, they are me. Any response, truth, wisdom, love, peace. Any activity, truth, wisdom, peace, love. So we are not going to be the Buddha. Buddha is unique in itself. So Eastern wisdom says, I have to become myself. I have not to become like anyone. So can you tell me now that your aging process will pass in peace and happiness and love and joy? Thank you.